And we are back. So we've got a list of images. Now we're going to start to discuss how we're going to create this image list component and then render out a list of images that are going to show up on the screen. So let's get started. Inside the components directory, I'm going to make a new file called the imagelist.js. And inside of here, I'll say import React from React, and I'll define image list as a functional component. Then I'm going to return a div that says my images, and then I'll do an export default of image list at the bottom like so. Next up, we're going to import this thing inside of app component. So I'll flip back to the app component, and here at the top, I'm going to import the image list component that we just created. And then I'm going to show this component inside of the app's render method. So we don't need to have this thing show up anymore. So I'm going to replace it with the image list component. And then I'll save the file and go to the browser. Yep, sure enough, says my images. So the next thing we need to do somehow is communicate our list of images that we fetched down to the image list component. So we're going to do that communication from a parent down to a child component using the prop system. So that means I'm going to define a new prop on the image list called images, and I'm going to pass all the images that we have inside of our state object. So I'm going to say this dot state images, and then I will go back to the image list file, and I will put the props object as an argument to here. So let's console log it to quickly test it. So when my application first re-renders, I get the empty array because, well, we don't have any images yet. If I enter flowers, boom, there's my 20 images just like that. All right, so let's now show a list of images inside of our browser. So I'll just remove that console log, and then I'm going to do a map over props.images, just like so. So I'm going to put an arrow function into this thing, and this inner arrow function is going to be called with each image from our list of images. Okay, so now we need to use that image object to somehow return an image tag that has the appropriate source, like this. Okay, so now this image argument right here is going to be exactly identical to some of those different objects that we console logged out inside of our application. So we can look at the definition of each of these different images. And as you can see right here, all images have links to different URLs. So inside of here, we want the web format URL, this one. So go back inside of our image list component to specify the image URL that we want to show on the screen, and we will reference image.webformat URL, and then that's going to return that really long URL. Excellent, excellent. So finally, we're going to take this tag that gets returned from the map statement and assign it to the variable images like so. Now this images variable is going to contain all of the images that get returned from the array that we fetched. Pretty cool. Inside the div, I am going to remove this text, and I will reference that image variable. Okay, so let's save all this and go back over to our browser. I'll do a search for flowers. Now we have a list of images. And if you've noticed that on our console, we got a little warning message. So why don't we pause right here and we're going to fix it up in the next section.